ready for Easter, I guess.
No, that's okay. I think we're good.
Yeah, he's got one here.
We'll get started in just a moment. Good evening. The hour being 6:30 p.m. on Monday, February 14th, 2022. I'd like to call to order the Brookfield Village Board meeting. Would everyone please join me in a pledge of allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Bridget, could we please have a roll call?
Trustee Ketchmark?
Here.
Trustee Cote?
Here.
Trustee Hendricks?
Here.
Trustee Conroy?
Here.
Trustee Kaluzny?
Here.
Trustee LeClere is absent. President Garvey.
Here. Thank you, Bridget. It was my original intention to have, I think most people know, the village suffered a terrible loss last week with Kendra's passing. I was originally going to ask for a moment of silence in her memory, but we had a luncheon, and the employees and people who knew her the best said that Kendra didn't like silence. She liked talking and chatting and being with everyone. So we had a very nice luncheon that day, but some of the board members were able to make it, some weren't. I'm going to ask the board just to give the board a chance if anybody wants to say anything about Kendra. Instead of remembering in silence, just remembering it with a few words. And I just told each board member to be optional if they want to say anything, but I'll just kind of, would anybody like to say anything? Jennifer?
I worked with Kendra a lot on the Plan Commission, and I know that the rest of the Plan Commissioners would say that she was always cheerful and poised and professional, which was difficult sometimes in public meetings. But we appreciated that about her. She was always helpful, and I'd like to share a little moment from our last Plan Commission meeting. Both of our petitioners, after their cases were done, stood up and made a point of thanking and complimenting our staff, and that's Emily and Kendra, on their helpfulness and their willingness to serve our community. I think that says a lot about what kind of person Kendra is. We were lucky to have her with us, and she will be missed.
Thank you, Jennifer. Trustee Ketchmark, did you?
Kendra was a smart young woman with a promising career, a bright future ahead of her. We have had business owners, commission members, residents all reach out expressing their condolences. What is so apparent that in the short time Kendra was here, and she was a part of our staff at Village Hall, she was not only an integral part of the operations here at the Village Hall, but also within our community itself. Her passing will be felt for a long time here. My deepest sympathy goes out to her family and friends and the fellow co-workers right here at the Village Hall.
Thank you, Trustee Ketchmark. Trustee Conroy, did you want to say anything?
My interaction with Kendra was limited. I hadn't worked with her extensively. I had sat with her. I had spoken with her. She was always very positive, very upbeat. In the wake of her passing, I did go on her website where she had a photography business she did on the side, and I mean, her talent was beautiful, and it just reflected on the beautiful soul that she was. Then how she could capture that, and the pictures she took, and the joy that she brought everyone that worked with her, not only at the village, but even on that side business that she had. It's a horrible loss. It's a horrible loss for any parent to lose a child, and I couldn't fathom what that family's going through right now. But yeah, our condolences to them.
Thank you, Trustee Conroy. Anybody? Ed, did you want to say anything, or?
Yeah, I was very fortunate to spend some time talking with her and meeting with her, and she was
She was a beautiful, caring soul. She was a wonderful human being. Brookfield is, I'm better to have known her, and unfortunately, the world has lost a lot. She was a wonderful human being, and she's going to be sorely missed. And God, my heart goes out to her mom.
Thank you, Ed. Katie, did you wish to say something?
Yes. I had the pleasure of working with Kendra when she was interning here back in 2017, and I got to be part of the steering committee for the comprehensive plan, and she was so professional at that time and just wonderful to work with. And I was so excited that she chose to apply and come back and want to work with Brookfield more in the future. And so it was really exciting to have her here again and be able to work with her. I also followed a lot of her LinkedIn posts about sustainability, which I enjoyed and appreciated, and she always commented or liked things that I posted in that regard. So I know that was something that we shared, and I was very much excited to work with her on that, and I'm sorry that we won't be able to, but I promise to continue that enthusiasm this year and with the board. So it just was a pleasure working with her, and she'll be missed.
Thank you very much, Katie. Bridget, do you want to say anything?
Yeah, just, I would repeat everything that everybody's already said, but, I mean, nobody had a smile like Kendra. She was just, it was contagious almost, and I used to tease her about being so fat, because she might have been 90 pounds wet, maybe? And she ate several times a day, a lot of food. I don't know how she did it, but, if you did not like Kendra when you met her, then there's something wrong with you. She was just so nice, and she will be missed.
Thank you. A lot of kind words have been said about Kendra already, and there's not much I could add personally. I did have the privilege of working with her over the years. We talked a lot of village business. We talked about her photography. I always used to pop in and see her before the weekend and ask what she had going on, and she often talked about some of the photography stuff that she had going on. And we talked about we're both U of I alumni, a lot of years apart, but both U of I alumni. So we talked to her office. We always had some blue and orange from Illinois in there, and we talked about that a lot. And but I was able to stop by the memorial service this past Saturday and got to meet her family and got to see just the pictures. We know one part of her life, what we had here, and we felt like we had a lot of her here, but you see how active and how friendly and how many people she knew and how many lives she impacted. And it just struck me, and the relatively short amount of time in her life that she spent with us, she's left a tremendous impact, not just on the people that she met and how she made us feel and what she did, but the things that she's put in place in this village going forward, the things that are going to be, and Trustee Hendricks mentioned it earlier, I think, shortly after her passing. She's left a legacy already. Things that she's done will shape the future of this town for years and decades to come, and it's something that we can be proud of, she could be proud of, and her family can be proud of. In a short period of time, she made a major impact on the village, and we only had her for that short period of time. So seeing her family and seeing her friends, I realized all the other impact she had in her life, and it is just it is a big loss. So again, I want to thank the community for reaching out. There was many comments and shows and displays of consideration and sympathy expressed to the village and the staff and the employees, because it is a small, close-knit group here. Myself and the elected officials aren't here all day. We have employees that are here all day. They're like a family. They spend more time together than some families spend together. So I know that the staff and the employees appreciated all the outreach, the consideration, and the patience. And quite honestly, we'll need some patience going forward just as we work our way through this. But thank you, and rest in peace, Kendra. Okay, we're going to move on with business. Tim reminded staff that, we have jobs to do and we need to move forward, and Kendra would want us to move forward and make progress on things. So we're going to get through this board meeting tonight, and we'll get through everything together. So we have some appointments and presentations. Previously, we had Susan Rohner. We voted to approve her appointment to the Brookfield Beautification Commission, but she couldn't be at the meeting that night. So we're going to ask Susan to come up and be sworn in by our clerk, Bridget Weber. So Susan, if you can please come up.
Thank you, Sue.
hand. I, Susan Rohner,
I, Susan Rohner,
having been appointed to the office of Beautification Commission
having been appointed to the Office of Beautification Commission
in the Village of Brookfield,
in the Village of
in
Brookfield,
the County of Cook,
in the County of Cook,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of
that I will faithfully discharge the duties of
the office of Beautification Commission member
the Office of Beautification Commission member
according to the best of my abilities.
according to the best of my abilities.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much for all your past service, and we're really excited about you doing this going forward. So you give us a lot of time and talent, and we truly appreciate it, so.
Thank you so much. I'm excited about this.
Okay, perfect.
Perfect, thank you so much. And is there anyone you want to acknowledge is here with you tonight, or just embarrass anybody? Thank you much for all of your support, and sharing us with her. Thank you very much. The next item, I'd entertain a motion to appoint Kevin Leodinh to the Brookfield Conservation Commission.
So moved.
Second?
The motion was made by trustee Kaluzny, second by trustee Cote. Any questions or comments on the appointment?
I would just like to say I've had the pleasure of getting to know Kevin and his husband over the last several months. And I'm so excited that I haven't scared him away yet. And in fact, he wants to do more with the village. So really, really thrilled to have Kevin joining the commission. He's been attending the last several meetings, really great contributions, and really, really thankful to have his expertise joining the commission.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, can we have a roll call, please?
Trustee Ketchmark?
Aye.
Trustee Cote?
Aye.
Trustee Hendricks?
Aye.
Trustee Conroy?
Aye.
Trustee Kaluzny?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Kevin, if you can come up, and if you got family and friends that want to come up with you, we'll, they could get better pictures up here, or we could take pictures if they want to be in the pictures. Our resident photographer, Trustee LeClere, isn't here tonight, but Ed and Katie are pretty good with cameras, so if you want to.
Ready for your photo shoot?
Yes, so, okay,
Raise your right hand.
yes.
I, Kevin Leodinh,
I, Kevin Leodin,
having been appointed to the office of
having been appointed to the office of
Conservation Commission
Conservation Commission
in the Village of Brookfield,
in the Village of
in
Brookfield,
the County of Cook,
and the County of Coke,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
Constitution of the State of Illinois,
Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of
and I will faithfully discharge the duties of
the office of Conservation Commission member
the Office of Conservation Commission member
according to the best of my abilities.
according to the best of my abilities.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much for agreeing to serve. We appreciate all the volunteers that we have that give their time and talent to serve. So on behalf of myself and the board, thank you. Would you like to introduce your cheering section here?
Yeah, sure. Well, thank you, everyone, for my mother, my brother, my husband. They also haven't been scared away from all.
Well, thank you for.
Thank you for
very much.
sharing your time with us.
Okay, the next item, I'd entertain a motion to appoint Wyatt Widmer to the Brookfield Conservation Commission.
So moved.
Second?
The motion was made by trustee Kaluzny, second by trustee Cote. Any questions or comments on the appointment?
I would just love to say I'm so excited to have Wyatt on the commission. He's been volunteering in the Oak Savannah, providing a tremendous expertise to all of our volunteers over the last many work days, including Project Nice, where I think a lot of the trustees got to meet him. So really thrilled that he wants to take another step and join the commission in a more formal way, and again, has been attending meetings, and you'll hear more about something he's up to later tonight during my report. So thank you so much, Wyatt, for joining us.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Okay, can we have a roll call, please?
Trustee Ketchmark?
Aye.
Trustee Cote?
Aye.
Trustee Hendricks?
Aye.
Trustee Conroy?
Aye.
Trustee Kaluzny?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Wyatt,
begin.
there he is. Come on down, Wyatt. Thank you very much.
Hello. I, Wyatt Widmer,
I, Wyatt Widmer,
having been appointed to the office of
having been appointed to the office of
Conservation Commission
Conservation Commission
in the Village of Brookfield,
in the Village of Brookfield,
in the County of Cook,
in the County of Coke,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of
that I will faithfully discharge the duties of
the Office of Conservation Commission Member
the Office of Conservation Commission Member
according to the best of my abilities.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations, Wyatt.
Again, Wyatt, I got to see you in action, and I really appreciate your passion and your energy and your willing to serve us even further. So thank you very, very much. Truly appreciate it.
Thanks, Wyatt.
Okay, the next item, I have a proclamation that I'd like to read honoring our Police Record Supervisor, Lori Webb. Whereas Police Record Supervisor Lori Webb began her career with the Village of Brookfield on February 16, 1994, as a police dispatcher and records clerk. Whereas Lori Webb was promoted to Police Records Supervisor in 2003 in charge of the Records Division and managing all the data and regulatory compliance with federal, state, county, and local regulations. Whereas Records Supervisor Lori Webb continued her great service to the department and community as Police Records Supervisor from 2003 until her retirement date of February 11, 2022. Whereas Records Supervisor Lori Webb has been a pillar of not only the Brookfield Police Department, but of the entire Brookfield community, always offering a helping hand to a resident with a question or direction to the staff at the police department. Whereas after 28 years of dedicated service, Police Records Supervisor Lori Webb served her final day as Brookfield Police Records Supervisor on Friday, February 11th, 2022. Now therefore be it proclaimed by the President and Board of Trustees of the Village of Brookfield, Cook County, Illinois, that they do hereby honor Police Records Supervisor Lori Webb with their highest commendation and thank her for the dedication, professionalism, and kindness she has shown the village. Be it further proclaimed that the village clerk is hereby directed to cause this proclamation to be embossed so that it can be presented to Lori Webb and her family as an expression of the village's appreciation for her service to the Village of Brookfield. I know Chief Curavilla wants to say a few words as he's coming up. I had a chance to talk to Lori before the meeting. We've been through some stuff together and around with this, looking at the dates and everything else. It's like you've done a lot and seen a lot and the changes that have taken place here, and you were a big part in helping us transition through. I know things are different than when you first started, and you helped us get through it, so thank you. Chief?
Okay, I'll keep this brief because she won't let me talk too long. So Lori has been a familiar face to this department for over 28 years. Young or old, people know that Brookfield PD's police supervisor, record supervisor is Lori Webb. Recognition like that is a testament to how irreplaceable your presence has been to us. Lori has been kind, considerate, and a help to all of us. I can recount countless times, and we've talked about this a lot lately, just as a patrol officer, how she would help me when I'd screw up, all kinds of things, the records, tickets, and the like. And she would always just come, pull me aside and say, "Hey, Mike, you gotta do this and that," and it would help me fix any kind of mistake I'd make. As a sergeant, she would be available to myself and the rest of our staff, supervisors, or anyone alike. But I remember again just how she would answer my texts, call me back all hours a day. She didn't work in the night, but she would. That's the kind of person that Lori is. And again, not to but in the smallest way, she brightened all of our lives in the department. From just being considerate to us about treats. She'd feed us. She'd make cookies for us. It was just amazing. And even thinking to buy us coffee when I'd forget or others. So she'd referred to us refer to herself as our den mother. And although I believe that's true, I count her as one of the cornerstones of our department. She never wanted this kind of praise or accolades, but she has made us all look better for her service and dedication. She's a fierce and loyal defender of us, and especially as she knows the challenges we face. We're going to miss her dearly, but I'm so excited for her and her husband, Ben, and for the next chapter of their lives to come. So thank you again on behalf of myself and the department. I can't thank you enough for your service here. All right. You keep it this
You get to
time.
keep it this time.
Thank you.
Lori, thank you so much. I know you don't want to say anything. We thank your husband for being here and all the support over the years, and I thank you so much personally on behalf of the board. And you could just tell by the amount of support you have here tonight. See former Chief Episcopos here and other members of the department are here. That's a show of the love and support and respect they have for you. So thank you so much, and a long and happy and healthy retirement.
Enjoy it.
And I'm going to give Lori the gift that I give everyone else. You don't have to stick around for the rest of the meeting. And I'll throw it into the rest of the appointees tonight if you don't want to stick around. But it's really Lori's night. If she, think you might be able to do something else tonight if you would like.
Valentine's.
Thank you so much, Lori. Okay, at this point, I will open up the village board meeting to public comment. Is there anyone on the right side that would like to make any comment at this point? My right? Hearing none, anybody on the left? Mr. Oberhauser?
Good evening and happy Valentine's Day. It's a real commitment for all of you to be here on such a special day. So for the record, my name is Brian Oberhauser. My address is 3647 Sunnyside, but in reality, I live on Grant Avenue. So that is why I am here to speak out on what is going to be discussed in the committee hearing, the proposed plan to have two options, A and B, for the future of Grant. And I'm going to encourage you strongly to reject both A and B. And I have a variety of reasons why I would say that. And if I had to summarize it in a phrase, this is a solution in search of a problem. So going through, starting with the memo that was put together by Derek, one of the primary justifications for having this plan was that the nature of Grant is rather unsafe currently, with parking on both the north and south side and then people having to weave in and out when traveling down Grant. That is inaccurate. Grant on the north side, which is where I'm located, does not have parking, and it has never had parking. So the nature of the street is far safer than based on that specification being invalid. Another major point is about the idea of how moving forward with Grand Boulevard hopefully developing even further, and even the general region having improvements where there's new businesses, new buildings, that moving in that direction, that there might be a need for additional parking for that area, which makes perfect sense. But what I've noticed in my 17 years of living on Grant Avenue, when there are events, particularly in Grand Boulevard, where there's lots of people who need parking, even though there is and always has been parking on the south side of Grant, especially in the evenings, that people will tend to actually park more on Sunnyside than on Grant. So again, the fact seems to suggest, in my own anecdotal experience, that there's not going to be a need for parking, at least at the time being. And I did ask then, with this in mind, was there any data or surveys that were performed in order to support the idea that Grant would be the natural place for there to be additional needs for parking? There was not. From what I was told by Tim and Derek, is that staff went out and looked at Grant Avenue, and they used their professional judgment. And that is very appropriate, but then this, to me, was actually an example of confirmation bias. You wanted Grant to be the new street to be used, so you went out there and you saw that there was a lot of people driving fast and that this would be a great place for parking. I asked then the question at the meeting that was held, well, what about considering Sunnyside south of Grand, which would also be in some ways very similar to Grant, because if you're coming, say, north on Grand and you're looking for parking and you're not finding anything, you might choose to either turn like left down Sunnyside or right down to Grand. And that was never considered. So this is based on opinion as opposed to hard data, which I think is something that should be a little bit more solid when you consider both the cost as well as the significant impact to the number of mature trees along Grant that would be eliminated. Some other things that you should consider, I'm sure most of you probably in the time since the report came out went and looked at Grant Avenue yourself. And you probably noticed it's in very, very good shape. It's a really old street, but like based on like what CP always talks about with the concrete roads, it's actually incredibly good because it's not used that much. Derek rated, the last time it was rated as a street with the 1 through 5 ranking, it was a 3. I think it's a 3.999. It is in fabulous shape. And usually when people complain about their streets and they want them fixed, they would make a point to the board. I think Grant is in wonderful shape. I drive on it every day. If anyone would be upset about how bad Grant is and in need of repair, it'd be me. And I think it's fine. And one of the things I also asked Derek, are there other streets that have a 3 rating that are then not being repaired because resources have been allocated for Grant? And the answer was yes. So this not only impacts me and everyone who lives on Grant, but it also means that somebody who's that next street that could have been fixed this year is not getting it because there's so much money being put into Grant instead. A couple other things that you might probably remember from my email I sent to all of you. This is taking out 7 feet of green space on each side of the street, along with all of the mature trees. This goes against the village policy for even before I was on the board, where we are trying to protect green space, trying to use it to help mitigate flooding issues, trying to promote our status as a Tree City USA. So this is basically against what we believe in is a right policy. And in some ways, it's also a poke in the eye to so many residents who themselves have been unable to make improvements to their property in the way they wanted to because of the green space requirements for their own land. As you probably know, that's my areas where it's a buffer zone. It's where it transitions from the business district to residential. And so having the 7 feet of extra parkway on both sides, plus those mature trees, which took decades to grow, really helps all of the people in my area in order to have a more calm and suburban life, even though we're just right off the major business district. One thing also that is not as much a factor for me because my driveway enters directly onto Grant is that since there is no parking right now on the north side of Grant, everybody who lives in the area between Grant and Lincoln on Sunnyside, Vernon, Prairie, and Forest have been able to enter and exit the alley without having to worry about cars parked on the street potentially blocking their view of traffic on Grant. So as a result, for all of those families, there's actually quite a few young families that are in that part of town, they're going to have a much more dangerous access coming in and out of the alleys. So even if you're on the fence about whether or not this is a good plan, I would recommend that you consider having staff hold another meeting where those people in those blocks are informed about this potential change to Grant. And because they didn't know that there was no parking on the north side of Grant, reasonably the thought didn't occur that we should contact everybody who lives in this area because they're already being impacted by parking on the north side when they come in and out of the alley. But since that is not the case, I think there should be at least one more opportunity for people to have their say. So, I would just say, oh, and one other thing too. I appreciate, as Tim points out during the meeting, this is about being focused on the future. And that's important because too often at village level, it's just about the here and now. This is about thinking in the future when there is, say, this potential for explosion, and hopefully happens in the Grand Boulevard area. But it hasn't happened yet. And when it does happen, and we start to see that there are traffic problems, then at that point, expand Grant Avenue. So this is, again, a solution in search of a problem. Let's wait until it actually becomes necessary. We can use the money more wisely right now for other projects, and hopefully we can also save those really nice trees. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Brian, for coming out. Anyone else on my left side? Okay, hearing no further public comment, we'll move on to reports of special committees, please. Trustee Cote.
I would like to make a motion to approve corporate warrant dated 14 February 2022 in the amount of $1,117,611.30.
So moved.
Second.
The motion,
Oh, sorry, second.
the motion was made by Trustee Cote and
Sorry.
second by Trustee Hendricks. It's okay.
All right.
Any highlights or things you want to point out?
Nothing of note this time. No.
Okay. Any questions or comments from the board about the warrant?
No.
Hearing none, roll call, please.
Trustee Ketchmark?
Aye.
Trustee Cote?
Aye.
Trustee Hendricks?
Aye.
Trustee Conroy?
Aye.
Trustee Kaluzny?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
We're expecting a little bit of snow coming up, so please take a picture of your snow parking sign so that you know what side of the street that you can park on. Note that even though it stops snowing, if snow ban puts into effect, they have to clean the opposite side of the street, so it'll take place on the following day as well. In regards to DPW, the Streets Division, speaking of which, they have ordered 400 tons of salt over the last couple of weeks and are ready for this week's snowing event. They're currently pothole patching the entire town. All mains have been completed and are currently working on the secondary streets. Missing street names are being installed throughout town, and those signs have been damaged and defaced, have been knocked down, and they're being replaced. The Forestry Division, they're back to the tree removal program after weeks of hauling out snow, and they're going to continue to remove trees and then remove the stumps in the spring. And the Water Division, DPW has been repairing hydrants throughout town, and they've been identified as issues. They repaired about 8 main breaks through this past year. In regards to the library, registration is open for the AARP Tax Assistant Program. Please go to their website and you can sign up for it. Also, the library has a lot of things for the elderly right now, so please check out that website if you know somebody who might benefit from some of their programs. And lastly, if you know somebody who is struggling, who are needing help, you can call 1-800-273-8255 or text 838-255 if you know a veteran who is in need of help, who is having trouble. The VA offers coaches, medical professionals, licensed psychologists, and social workers that will talk to them by phone. You can contact that through 888-823-7458. Or you can contact me or meet me at the VFW on Ogden. We'd be more than happy to talk to you and show you a different way. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Trustee Cote, and just a quick congratulations to Trustee Cote and his son Liam, who wrestled at RB, qualified for the state tournament along with 5 or 6 other RB wrestlers.
6. They were sending 6 to state on the individual.
6 RB wrestlers, including Trustee Cote's son, will be headed to University of Illinois later this week to wrestle in the state final. So congratulations to Liam and the other RB wrestlers. So,
Thank you very much.
Trustee Conroy, Chamber of Commerce.
Yes, so this weekend, the Chamber of Commerce hosted the Senior Social. We had a full house here in the Village Hall boardroom, as well as virtual participation. So I would like to thank Chuck Hitzman, who I believe is in the crowd here this evening, for putting that event together and organizing that. He took a creative approach to getting around the COVID protocols and create a fun event for are, you know, a pretty high at-risk community of our seniors to be able to come together and still have an event and commiserate without, you know, necessarily food and drink and other issues that would pose risk during this time of COVID. So I appreciate the creativity there, and also wanted to thank Jason Bowman from Boxless Media, who also volunteered his time and equipment to stream the meeting to the library and make it available for other people to be able to participate virtually. And so appreciate the work of both of those gentlemen in making that happen for our seniors. They definitely had a good time, and hopefully next year we can not have to worry about the COVID protocols and can get back to a larger in-person event. So planning for the farmers market is going on. Doug is in attendance today. If anyone would like to sign up and sponsor our farmers market, we are definitely looking for sponsorship opportunities and have plenty available for you. So please keep that top of mind, even though it's not happening in June. And despite the mess in the parking lot, that will be gone by then. Tim has sworn upon everything he could find.
It should be done, baby.
And other than that, I did hear a rumor that Abby Brennan will be again hosting the Art Fest this September. So that's to be confirmed, but believe that will be happening this year after a couple-year hiatus. So looking forward to hopefully seeing that back at our parks in the month of September. So that's it. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Trustee Conroy. And I had the privilege of witnessing the 50 very happy seniors somewhere to go on Valentine's Day and come in and play bingo in this very room. And thank you to all the sponsors that made it happen, all the efforts of the chamber and the volunteers. And Trustee Conroy was actually calling bingo games here in the boardroom. So it was very, very impressive. And those of you who have attended the event in the past know how much it means to these seniors to be able to get out, have an event, socialize, even though it's a little bit different than years past. I know it made their day, their week, probably their month being out and being able to do this. So Chuck and the chamber and all the volunteers and Trustee Conroy, thank you for making it happen. So, Trustee Hendricks, Planning and Zoning.
The Planning and Zoning Commission met January 27th, heard 2 cases. We will be addressing both of those later tonight, so I won't go into them. Regarding the February meeting, seeing it as the only case in front of us was a text amendment discussion, Emily and I talked, we decided it would probably be best to postpone that to allow the commissioners and staff to regroup in a little time. And so that next meeting will be in March, and that concludes my report.
Thank you. Trustee Ketchmark, anything?
No report this evening.
Trustee LeClere is not present tonight. Trustee Kaluzny, Conservation and Beautification.
Yep, Conservation Commission, I know that they just left, but I wanted to have a big welcome and thank you again to Wyatt and Kevin for joining the commission. We're now back to 7 commissioners and excited to get to work in 2022 with a full group of folks. The commissioners held a restoration day in the Oak Savannah on February 5th. It was about 10 degrees out, but they did have 10 volunteers out there cutting invasive trees and buckthorn. So thank you to the people that like to stand out in the cold in 10 degrees for multiple hours to help the Savannah. They'll have another day coming up shortly, and I'll announce that at the next meeting. They are also been working with the Brookfield Library to work on a couple of programs during Earth Week. So on Wednesday, April 20th at 7 p.m., they are working on a program called Think Globally, Act Locally, Get Involved with the Brookfield Conservation Commission, which seems very appropriate for our commission to be doing. And so Wyatt, who was sworn in tonight, is going to talk about restoration, along with our chair, Bridget Jakubiak, and Megha Patel are going to all talk about different ways to volunteer and get involved in conservation. They're also hosting an alternative fuels car show in the library parking lot on April 23rd from 10 until 1. And so there are a number of residents that have alternative fuel cars that are going to be having them parked in the lot for people to take a look at and ask them questions. If you have an alternative fuel car and want to park in the lot and talk about it with others, let me know. I will hook you up with the details. And then our next meeting is February 22nd at 6:30 p.m. Brookfield Beautification Commission, they met on February 8th and planned out their calendar for the year. They are going to host their volunteer sign-up session for Adopt a Spot this year on March 19th in Village Hall. As I've reported previously, April 30th will be the Spring Project Nice. And they're going to be awarding the Brookie Awards, the Business Beautification Awards, to businesses on March 11th, and are looking to coordinate with staff on that. So they'll be reaching out to coordinate that. And they created new window decals for the 2022 awardees, which are very cute, and we'll be giving them out to past awardees as well. Their next meeting will be Tuesday, March 8th, and we are still looking for one additional commissioner for us in 2022. That ends my report.
Thank you, Trustee Kaluzny. In terms of my reports, the Solid Waste Agency has not met since our last meeting. Tonight's Committee of the Whole agenda, we're having an economic development presentation of the progress so far at this point. We anticipate future meetings on that, but there will be a presentation later tonight to get the conversation going. And as we await some of the Energize Brookfield plan that'll be coming forward, this will be a topic that we'll be discussing at several board meetings or probably special board meetings going forward. Brookfield Zoo, myself and Tim, at the invitation of Dr. Atkinson, the new director at the Brookfield Zoo, met there Thursday. We had a very nice meeting with Jennifer Bader and Dr. Atkinson. He informed us about kind of the plans, the process that he's been going through, and they're starting a 10-year master plan and some of the other initiatives that are going on there. We talked about areas that we've worked together already on, talked about areas that we could work together going forward, kind of established a very nice dialogue. I thought it was an excellent meeting. I have invited him to make a presentation to the board in the coming weeks, and we'll pick a time for that to happen. He'd like to come over, introduce himself to the board, and maybe give an update to the whole board about what's going on at the zoo and what their plans are moving forward. And in terms of the WCMC, last Saturday morning, myself and Tim attended the legislative breakfast. There was probably close to 300 people at the breakfast. It was very well attended. The President of the Senate, President Harmon, and the Speaker of the House was there, as well as Congressman Danny Davis and several Cook County commissioners and other state legislators. It was a informative morning. The Legislative Committee of the WCMC has presented our legislative agenda and our priorities in terms of protecting local control and some of the topics about trying to restore the local government distributed fund to the full amount back to us. In terms of what was actually accomplished that day, I think it's just some of it's symbolic, but seeing our elected officials at the national and state and county level, seeing 300 local officials gather and take their Saturday morning and talk that these are priorities, I think that sends a very strong message. And I think the West Central Municipal Conference has always done a good job of gathering people together to have one voice to move them forward. So we'll continue to monitor the progress of some of those initiatives going forward, but I think it was very productive for myself and Tim to be there. So that ends my report. At this time, I'd entertain a motion to pass the omnibus agenda.
President Garvey, I'm sorry, can I just add one last thing I forgot to include in my
Sure.
report? I apologize, but I did want to mention that there is going to be a business lunch this month, and it will be this Thursday, the 17th, at 12 o'clock at Irish Times. So anyone that would like to participate or attend, that is open to anyone, residents or businesses alike. So again, this Thursday, the 17th, Irish Times, 12 o'clock.
Thank you, Trustee Conroy. Okay, is there a motion to pass the omnibus agenda?
So moved.
Second.
The motion was made by Trustee Kaluzny, second by Trustee Cote. Roll call, please.
Trustee Ketchmark?
Aye.
Trustee Cote?
Aye.
Trustee Hendricks?
Aye.
Trustee Conroy?
Aye.
Trustee Kaluzny?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to the items under regular business, I'd entertain a motion to pass an ordinance amending Appendix A entitled Fee Schedule of the Code of Ordinances pertaining to the video game terminal fees.
So moved.
Second.
The motion was made by Trustee Kaluzny, second by Trustee Ketchmark. Any questions or comments from the board?
I would just like to reiterate what we said last meeting. I personally consider this an ugly part of our community. It's kind of a necessary evil. I wish we didn't have it, but I recognize the competitive pressures for businesses or restaurants to have the gaming machines on site and offer that to their clients to prevent them from going elsewhere to pursue that same entertainment. I would like to see the incremental fees for the increased license to go towards something that enhances the community. Not that anything we do doesn't enhance, but if we could give that incremental license fee to our commissions to give them some firepower to carry out their missions in the form of having a budget available in the Conservation Commission, Beautification Commission, who otherwise have to rely on fundraisers to be able to get funding. I think it'd be a great way to offset the necessary evil, as I consider it, of the gaming machines in our community.
The average establishment that has the gaming machines is netting close to $10,000 a month. I think going from the $25 to the $250 is fair to everyone here. We have neighboring towns that charge probably almost 10 times what we charge for liquor licenses for those establishments that have video gaming. So they're actually charging a much larger fee than we are. But I think this certainly is fair. The cost is, the invoice, I believe, is sent to the gaming company, and if they decide to pick it all up or split it with the establishment, that's up to them, but certainly this is fair.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, there's a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Trustee Ketchmark?
Aye.
Trustee Cote?
Aye.
Trustee Hendricks?
Aye.
Trustee Conroy?
Aye.
Trustee Kaluzny?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. The next item, I entertain a motion to pass a resolution to approve a collective bargaining agreement for the Brookfield Public Works Department represented by the Teamsters Local Union 705.
So moved.
Second.
The motion was made by Trustee Cote, second by Trustee Kaluzny. Any questions or comments from the board? This is obviously with our Public Works Department. Staff and their negotiating team was able to come to a agreement mutually beneficial to both parties, and I know we all appreciate our Public Works Department, and they, in the past couple of weeks, and they've had a rough month with snowstorms and water main breaks, but they do a great job year-round, and I feel like we got a very good relationship with our Public Works members. So if there's no further questions or comments, roll call, please.
Trustee Ketchmark?
Aye.
Trustee Cote?
Aye.
Trustee Hendricks?
Aye.
Trustee Conroy?
Aye.
Trustee Kaluzny?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. The next item, I entertain a motion to pass a resolution authorizing the execution of a professional services agreement between Azavar Audit Solutions and the Village of Brookfield to perform agreed-upon audit procedures.
So moved.
Second.
Motion was made by Trustee Kaluzny, second by Trustee Ketchmark. We talked about this at a committee or two. Any questions or comments?
Just one comment or clarification. As it relates to sales tax, again, this would be new revenue that we aren't currently getting or expecting to get. It's not something that's outstanding that they're helping us to collect.
Correct. They would review records from the state, work with staff to actually begin that process, because we would have to direct them on what we want to do and where we want to go with on that. So, yes, and any new revenues would be from companies that were paying to the wrong village or to the wrong entity, so to say.
But if you have ABC company that owes us sales tax, it is not their role to help us collect that sales tax.
No, it's IDORs.
Right.
It's the Illinois Department of Revenue. They would notify Illinois Department of Revenue and work with them to get that money. But yes, Illinois Department of Revenue is responsible for the compliance of sales tax
Okay, but
collections.
no, back to that then, but they're not getting a percentage of that. I mean, we know that sales tax is owed to us.
Right.
So that's not something they get a percentage of.
Right, that would be my assumption. I would understand that, like I said, before we even began on the sales tax, before we went there, we would sit down and talk with them about where we want to go. They are intending on starting their audit with the utility taxes and then moving on to anything else. And so we're going to see how everything works out.
Sure, my point is, if it's something we know we're owed,
Right.
they're not a collection agency.
No.
They should not be getting a percentage
Right.
of that. They're helping us find revenues that we haven't gotten.
Right, exactly.
Or things are misclassified in that. Thanks.
Any other questions or comments?
Yeah, I would just echo Trustee Ketchmark's comments in that I want to make sure this isn't a tool we're using to go after the business community for undue places for eating taxes, sales taxes, that we do that directly and not send out hired guns after our own
Right.
community members, and so.
Any other questions or comments? No. All right, there's a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Trustee Ketchmark?
Aye.
Trustee Cote?
Aye.
Trustee Hendricks?
Aye.
Trustee Conroy?
Aye.
Trustee Kaluzny?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, thank you. The next item, we're going to have a public hearing on the 2022 Appropriations Ordinance. So at 7:19 PM, I'd like to call to order the public hearing for the 2022 Appropriations Ordinance of the Village of Brookfield. Bridget, can we have a roll call, please?
Trustee Ketchmark?
Here.
Trustee Cote?
Here.
Trustee Hendricks?
Here.
Trustee Conroy?
Here.
Trustee Kaluzny?
Here.
And President Garvey.
Here. Thank you. Per state statutes, the public hearing notice was published in the Brookfield Landmark on February 2nd, 2022, and has been on file for public inspection in the village clerk's office for the required minimum 10-day period prior to this public hearing. The proposed appropriation ordinance mirrors the 2022 budget, which was passed by the board at the December 13th, 2021 Board of Trustees meeting. The library's appropriations are set by the library board and included per state statute requirement. The proposed appropriation ordinance totals $51,958,845, which represents the village's legal spending authority for the fiscal year 2022. At this point, I will open up the meeting to public comment just on the appropriation ordinance. Is there anyone on my right side that wants to comment on the appropriations ordinance? Seeing none, is there anybody on my left side that wants to comment on the appropriations ordinance? Okay, hearing none, I'd entertain a motion to close the public comment portion of the hearing.
So moved.
Second.
The motion to close the public comment was made by Trustee Cote, second by Trustee Hendricks. Roll call, please.
Trustee Ketchmark?
Aye.
Trustee Cote?
Aye.
Trustee Hendricks?
Aye.
Trustee Conroy?
Aye.
Trustee Kaluzny?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Does the board have any questions or comments at this point? Okay, hearing none, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn the public hearing at 7:20 PM.
So moved.
Second.
The motion to adjourn the public hearing on the appropriations ordinance was made by Trustee Ketchmark, second by Trustee Kaluzny. Roll call, please.
Trustee Ketchmark?
Aye.
Trustee Cote?
Aye.
Trustee Hendricks?
Aye.
Trustee Conroy?
Aye.
Trustee Kaluzny?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, the public hearing on the appropriations ordinance is adjourned at 7:21 PM. Going back into the items under regular business, I'd entertain a motion to pass an ordinance appropriating for all corporate purposes for the village's fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2022 and ending December 31st, 2022.
So moved.
Second.
The motion was made by Trustee Cote, second by Trustee Conroy. Does the board have any questions or comments at this point? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Trustee Ketchmark?
Aye.
Trustee Cote?
Aye.
Trustee Hendricks?
Aye.
Trustee Conroy?
Aye.
Trustee Kaluzny?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, the last item under regular business, I'd entertain a motion to pass a resolution approving a permanent easement agreement and intergovernmental agreement for cost sharing with Commonwealth Edison.
So moved.
Second.
The motion was made by Trustee Kaluzny, second by Trustee Cote. Tim, you want to provide a brief summary of this?
Sure. As the board is aware, there's a little project going on right outside our front doors here. And we've been working very diligently through many challenges and hurdles that have come our way. Fiber optic lines, telephone lines, cable lines. Most recently has been water main problem. And in our efforts to try to, what we knew we had to do is relocate a water main which runs currently under the creek and is now going to be in the way of the new bridge, which will be a much larger foundation than the old one. We've run into some challenges in that the directional bore that's been tried several times was hitting some type of obstruction underneath the creek that we can't identify. They've tried several different ways, different areas, and they still hit the obstacle. Therefore, I've seen many meetings out there with engineers. The only agreed upon solution was to literally open cut the creek from the surface and work down in order to dig through what's ever there, get our water main in. As the board is aware, I've unfortunately updated you on this project several times. There were delays with IDOT approving the increased scope. And as a reminder, IDOT is paying 80% of the cost of the entire project. IDOT subsequently approved the open cut technology, which was good news. We had some further good news, as if the board, for those of you keeping track at home or board members, or an earlier delay was caused by ComEd, and they have some overhead power lines on the west side of the creek. These are on poles, and these poles had to be either relocated a little bit away from the creek or have to be temporarily taken down in order to allow the demolition of the existing bridge to continue. One good thing that's come out of this delay we've had is ComEd has now agreed to come in and take advantage of the fact that we are going to be open cutting the creek, and they're going to underground their cables. So the wires that were caused, that might have been delay number 3, several months ago, will now be undergrounded, put into the same basic hole in the conduit that we're gonna be digging for a water main, and they're gonna be picking up their portion of the cost. Of the $470,000 total that this project is going to entail, they'll be paying 1/3 of the cost. I want to acknowledge the village attorney's office. Adam Durkin, Matt Holmes has been working very diligently for several months with ComEd. As usual, these things always come down to the last minute. I don't know why, if attorneys learn that in law school, but that's the way it always works. It always comes down to the last minute, but they did a really good job of getting Adam and Matt, getting the agreements. There's two components of this. There is the easement, a permanent easement that will be granted largely under the creek and along Brookfield Avenue, just on the Village Hall lot side, which should have no operational impacts, as you can see from the exhibit in your packet, to the village. And there's an easement underneath the creek. In addition to that is a cost-sharing component that indicates and formally binds, not IDOT, but ComEd to the 1/3 of the cost. And the village will be paying 20% of the costs that are left over from IDOT and from ComEd share. I know if Adam may want to comment as well, the resolution before you does provide the caveat that I know things are changing and in flux, small little details. If the board is so inclined to approve this tonight, it is under the assumption that the village attorney, under his discretion, may make some small changes to the agreements as they become known from ComEd. So, Adam, I don't know if you have anything on that.
Yeah, and those changes, like Tim said, would have to be inconsequential. Where we are with ComEd is we've given them our comments. We've been told we are going to get the responses. We think they're minor but necessary changes. And it's anticipated that we will get just okays from their legal department as opposed to a rewrite of the agreement or the location of the easement. So this has provided us an opportunity due to time constraints to still get this before the board with the expectation that whatever ComEd comes back from their legal department is either yeses to our minor changes or incidental changes. And I am working with Derek and Carl and village staff, and they've been instrumental in getting ComEd to come to the table and get us the information that we need in order to get this done when the creek is bypassed, since it is time of the essence, obviously.
This is something that's been going on for quite a while, and even the past couple days, Friday afternoon, I know there was work going on this, and, sometimes attorneys do their best work at the last minute.
Yes,
and
yes.
sometimes they got to work with engineers and other people too,
Yeah,
which make things
yeah.
complicated, so. But this is a win-win for us. This is, this project has been difficult, but we want to do it the right way. Getting the power lines buried is a visual improvement for the village, not to mention the cost sharing. I mean, if ComEd did not join in on this, the staff's recommendation, and I would have asked the board, obviously we still move forward with the line underneath the creek, our, water main, or the main going under that way and doing it that way, and then ComEd would be able to put their lines back up again, and they also wouldn't be contributing. So I think this is a win-win for us, so. Any questions or comments from the board?
I just would like to ask, just to make sure, to clarify, by granting the easement, we are not giving up any property rights or ownership. We're merely granting access to the lines where they're placed. Is that correct?
It technically is a transfer of ownership to that area underneath, but it's not a sale of municipal property, but it has that effect.
They couldn't fence it off and block off the parking lot, or?
The way that we've written our easement agreements that we've sent to them, it's underground structures. So they're underground, no above ground poles or anything. So they cannot fence it off.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments from the board?
If we needed to work on the parking lot, is there anything in this that would prevent us from doing so?
No, you just had to provide notice, and there are other easements in this area. That's one of the things that we hoped was going to expedite this process with ComEd, is we have given other easements in this area. So just like we would do for other easements, we'd have to provide them notice, not impair their easements unless the work needed to be done, where their easements would have to be temporarily disrupted, and then we would be probably obligated to restore the parking lot surface as you would do even if you had no easements there.
These are good questions. It's amazing when you look at, I saw an exhibit, I say facetiously that attorneys wait till the last minute, but I saw an exhibit that showed all of the easements and all the things that are going under the ground around our parking lot, under Brookfield Avenue, under the creek. I don't know how these guys keep this all. Engineers like Derek can somehow keep it all straight, but there's a lot of stuff under the creek, under the road, under our parking lot. This is just another one. But as President Garvey said, this really is a win-win that will get the visual obstruction permanently gone. And to Trustee Conroy's point, it really will not encumber. It would encumber if we wanted to build something right on the parking lot, right by Brookfield Avenue, like a structure, but we would never do that because it's our parking lot. So it's logical questions, but there's a lot going on under these surfaces.
Anybody else? Okay, roll call, please.
Trustee Ketchmark?
Aye.
Trustee Cote?
Aye.
Trustee Hendricks?
Aye.
Trustee Conroy?
Aye.
Trustee Kaluzny?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Tim, managers report?
Well, we haven't talked about the bridge long enough, so I'm going to provide an update on the bridge. And if, I know I sat here for several months where no activity happened out there. That is certainly not the case now. I would urge anyone between the hours of 7 and 3, it's a very fascinating process to watch them work out there. Currently, they're really unloading all their equipment, starting to hook it up, and I don't want to mess this up, so I'm going to read directly from a written report here on what's going on and what should be going on over the next few days. To date, a large drill has been set up on site. They are digging 8 45-foot deep holes, 4 on the east side, 4 on the west side of the creek. These are for wells. These wells are necessary for when they start the dewatering process. The dams that they're going to set up on the north and south side will stop the surface water, but as I've learned in this process, there's sleeves of water that run underneath. These wells are designed to dry up the water that will run underneath the creek and therefore not inhabit the working area when they're open cutting. The well points are currently being pumped out. They're monitored 24 hours a day. In addition, this was happening today, right out at the corner here of the parking lot. Excavation has begun on the first section of water main, and that has been installed today on the east side of the creek. Water main will be installed on both sides of the creek before the open cut begins, and this is in order to save time, and they're doing this work in preparation and before they do the underground work. You'll see along the banks, there are 6 very large green pumps have been delivered, and they are starting to work on hooking up the pipes that will be, it's a very fascinating process, that will be pumping out the water and routing it around the work area. Today and the rest of this week, the contractor will be fusing together the large black pipes that you'll see on the, I guess it'll be the west side of the parking lot, and they will be connected to the pumps, and that will ultimately be what dewaters half of the creek at a time. In the next few weeks, you'll see the delivery of the actual aqua dam system. I can't wait to see that, and that will be done in the next 2 weeks. And then the real work will begin, where the backhoe will actually go in, just like they would on any surface, digging through the creek and installing the conduit for the water main. I say all of this because, as Carl tells me, all work is weather permitting, and as long as we don't have any, I know we're expecting some rain this week, that should not interfere with this. They would not start this work for another 2 weeks or so. What we really don't want to have happen is a lot of snow or a lot of rain that would exceed the pumping ability. That'd be a bad thing. So we're hoping cold will not stop this. Typical snowfall won't stop this. Even a typical rainfall will not. We typically don't get the deluge, the heavy rainfall that would impact this in the months of February and early March, so I think we're in good shape.
I think it was all good until that last part, Tim. I think you jinxed us.
I'm your village manager. It's my job to give you good news and bad news, and unfortunately, in this project, it's been mostly bad news. But the comment agreement that you approved is good news, so. It's all gonna be good when the new bridge comes in. It's gonna be beautiful. Most beautiful bridge you'll ever see in your life. It's gonna be there shortly. I've asked Carl and Derek, will it be in place by the 4th of July parade? And I'm generally met with that kind of look that Derek just gave me. He averts his gaze. So we can't make any promises, but we're hopeful by early to midsummer, this whole thing will be done and we can enjoy the fruits of our labor. And that is my report for this evening.
Thank you, Tim. I'm sorry, thank you, Tim. Anything else on the manager's report?
No, thank you.
Okay. Okay, that ends the items on the village board meeting. I'd entertain a motion to adjourn the village board meeting at 7:34 PM.
So moved.
Second.
The motion to adjourn was made by trustee Cote, second by trustee Kaluzny. Roll call, please.
Trustee Ketchmark?
Aye.
Trustee Cote?
Aye.
Trustee Hendricks?
Aye.
Trustee Conroy?
Aye.
Trustee Kaluzny?
Aye.
Motion passed.
Okay, the board meeting's adjourned at 7:34. We're going to need a brief 5-minute or less break just to get things ready for the committee of the whole meeting.